Hey guys, welcome back to True-Moto-Resto. Another update on the GSXR 750, and so you'll see that it's sitting on the floor here on a couple of stands because using the lift doesn't work that well certainly for the front stand. There's nowhere to maneuver that thing unless I take the wheel chock off, and I didn't really feel like doing that. So to take the wheels off, I just put it on the floor here and then jacked it up. I've got the rear axle in there with a jack stand under it just for a bit of extra security. Not that that rear stand's going to come up, but these front stands, I have a little less trust in the triple tree stand, so I did the same thing at the front for now, but that's going to have to come off as well once the forks come out, because they need to be rebuilt with new fork seals. So the wheels came off, and then the pain in the neck for yesterday was getting the brake rotors off, getting the discs off. Between the two wheels, there were 15 of these bolts, and 4 of the 15, the head stripped out of them. And of the 4 that the head stripped out, I managed to get 2 out by driving a Torx bit into the stripped Allen head, and finally managed to get them out. The other 2 are still stuck in the rear wheel, and the rear wheel is at actually the local tractor guy. He's a pretty good welder, so I asked him to weld a couple of nuts onto the top of these bolts, so hopefully I can get them out that way. And the 4 that stripped are the 4 that I heated up, and I guess I never realized that these things are made of chocolate. But they were hard to get out. I couldn't use a ratchet. Almost all the way to the end, I had to use a 24-inch pry bar, a breaker bar, to get these out. Between the amount of Loctite that they put, you can see how much Loctite is around the base of that thread there. There's a lot of Loctite on these. And then there's obviously a lot of galvanic corrosion between the steel of the bolt and the aluminum in the wheel. And all of that combined just made for a huge pain in the ass getting these things off. I could move them about a quarter turn at a time with the 24-inch pry bar, and it was like that like all the way to the last couple of threads until I finally was able to spin them out a bit easier. But boy, what a huge pain in the ass that was. So I got 5 more of these. I know 4 of them were a mess when I was done, and but I bought 5 more just to have an extra one in case. And another one was a bit iffy, so I'll probably change 5 of them. Ordered those from Suzuki for $7 a piece. Man, Suzuki parts are expensive too. But anyway, so the next step is I'll be cleaning all this stuff up, get the wheels ready for painting. And then the front forks are going to come out. I'll put new fork seals in. And then after that, the carbs are going to come back out. So here's a top tip for you. Make sure you drain and clean your ultrasonic cleaner before you put the carbs back in the bike, because I found an O-ring in the bottom of my cleaner, and I think I know where it's from. I'm still questioning why my third carburetor, my third cylinder, wasn't running quite the way I expected to. And I think I know why, and I think I know where that O-ring's from. But at some point, those are going to have to come back out, and I'm going to have to open them up again and see if I'm right. The other thing I'm waiting for is a new set of gaskets for the headers, for those intake manifold, the exhaust manifolds. Hopefully that'll solve my problem of that rattling third pipe. It is a little strange that only the outer 2 pipes have the collars and the bolts, and the other 2 are just kind of pressure fit in there. I know that's the way those pipes came from the factory, but it still seems a bit strange. So hopefully the new gaskets will do the trick there. So there's the update for today. Today we're going to start prepping these GSXR 750 wheels for paint. So far what I've done is I've removed the wheel weights. The rear wheel here, I have already changed out the rear wheel bearings. One of them just felt a little bit rough, so I popped them both out, put new bearings in. There's lots of videos out there on YouTube on how to do that, so I didn't film it. And as far as the wheel prep goes, I cleaned all of these all the rims, both sides of the rim, and as well as the front rim as well, with brake clean and acetone, and then I gave it a good scrub down with a 3M, like a Scotch-Brite type of pad soaked in acetone. And a lot of the paint, I don't know if you can actually see here, but a lot of the paint has actually come off. Even with just a rag, an acetone, the paint started to come right off. So it's just a very, very thin layer of paint from the factory. Definitely not powder coated or anything like that. And so today I gotta figure out whether or not I can use the playing cards method to mask this wheel, which basically involves putting a playing card down inside the edge of the wheel rim here, and then just kind of stacking them all the way around. Sometimes the tires, the rubber is too tight against the rim to slide a card in there, so I've had some success with that in the past, where you can easily slide it in, and then others where it's just easier just to mask it. So we'll see which way this goes. I'm not swapping the tires out on this bike. Tires are still fine, so I just got to make sure I mask it up well, and mask up the center part of the hub, where the brake rotors mount and the bearings are, etc. And then we'll prime it and we'll paint it. Okay, so so far so good. The playing cards are going in okay. So basically what you do is you just kind of slide the card in down by the edge of the rim. So it's kind of hard to film it and do it at the same time. You kind of need two hands, but the whole idea is you kind of start out here, and then as you push it down, see if I can do it here, you can push it and slide it over, so you get some overlap from one card to the next like that. And you basically just work your way around. You can see I've used these playing cards before to paint another set of rims a few years ago, but keep them for more than one use. So you do that, and then turn it over and do the other side. Like I've got this right now, I've got the wheel mounted on one of my stools. It's just easier to turn it around and work on it that way. So we'll see if that should still work when I do the other side. So okay, so here's the rear wheel, which is effectively now masked up using the playing cards. Both sides are done. I put some masking tape on the center part of the hub there, where I don't want any paint getting on either the face of the bearing or the actual hub part. So that's how she looks. And the nice part about that is it's pretty quick to do, and it's pretty fast to take it all off, and then you can reuse them as well. You'll notice I didn't really clean up too much in here. I'm not worried about actually painting inside of there. There's no grease in there. I mean, it's all been cleaned with brake clean, but it's still a little dirty and dusty in there, but that's where the crush drive rubbers go. So I'm not planning to paint in there anyway. That's just kind of the way that I'm doing it, but there you go. There's the rear wheel done, and now I'll move on to the front wheel. Okay, so we're back in the lower part of the garage now, just to start the painting process. So I've just given a light coat of etching primer, just because there is some bare metal on the rims now, through giving it the rub down with the 3M pad and the acetone. So I better put some etching primer on there. So I'll let that dry for a while, and then we'll see how it is. I did notice on this side of the rim, which is the chain drive side, that there is some blotching or maybe some minor fisheyes. I may have to do some additional prep work on this. You can see kind of down here, I'm not liking that on the edge of the rim, so that might have to be stripped again and re-prepped, despite having scrubbed this many times with acetone. So we'll have to see how that goes. Anyway, so more to come. Okay, so here we are after, I think there's about 4 coats on there now. I'm just letting it dry for another 15 minutes before I do another coat. Make sure it's not only dry to the touch, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't smell too much fresh paint on there, though it's kind of hard to tell. just trying to make sure basically that it's flashed off, as they call it, before I put the next coat on. So 15 minutes seems to be okay. I don't want to go at it too soon because I don't want it to get you know, runs in it and that kind of thing. I'm still having issues with fish eyes on this side, so at this point I'm thinking I might have to redo the edge of this rim once everything's dried off again. I don't want to start mucking with it until it's dry, but a little disappointing, but you know, shit happens. Just a quick update on what's been done since the last video I did. I didn't record any of it because there's lots of videos on YouTube on doing fork seals and brake pads, and it's just kind of simple stuff. So I just pulled the forks out, put in new fork seals and fluid and all that kind of stuff. Pretty straightforward. There's again videos on YouTube on how to do that, and did some basic cleaning on the calipers, put in new brake pads front and back, and that's about it. Now we're just waiting for stuff to arrive for these wheels. I need new brake disc bolts from Suzuki, which they seem to have a problem getting, like everything else these days, because I don't know what COVID has done to the supply chain, but anyway, they're having issues getting those. So I did order 5 from Suzuki to replace the ones that got stripped when I removed them. So hopefully in another week they'll be here. I've also got a wheel balancing rack on the way from Fortnite, and some wheel weights so I can rebalance these, because I took the weights off to paint the rim. So that'll be done shortly. So once I get all that stuff here, I'll make another video.